Hello everybody, welcome to On the Glide Slope. This is the Oculus Rift headset that I've been working with since just after the holidays. And I'm going to be shooting, or hopefully making some video of what I see in the virtual sim today. I just wanted to start by saying, here's how we have things sort of arranged. So I've got one sensor up here on top of the cabin that I've just duct taped or put some Velcro tape into place. It's aiming down, gets the back of my head and sees most of my controller action. Here's one of the controllers. And then the other sensor is up here. It's still on its stand, and I have just sort of propped it into place, and I have it looking down. And I found that through that, I get most of the movement that I need down here when I'm flipping settings and the rest. And as I'll talk about when I have the sim running, I have the virtual panel forward enough that I can use its controls without bumping into this. And I just position it so that the virtual yoke is about where this yoke is in the real world. It is running and should be running off my headset. I've detached the headphones from the Rift. They just unscrew quite easily. And then I'm able to use the aviation headset. And then over here we are running on the PC the Oculus system. I don't run the Oculus software when I run the sim. I actually just run I run SteamVR, of course, and then of course it runs. I set some settings in the Oculus Debug tool, which I'll talk about at some point, maybe while it's running. But I'm going to be running the mirror software, which allows me to record the video from the headset. So normally Oculus isn't running, but it is now, and I'm going to get the sim started and then we'll take a flight.
Okay, so here we are in the Cessna 172. These are my Oculus controllers based on the layout of the cabin in the sim. When I set that on the chair, it actually sets on the chair. The glide slope, or the glare shield is quite the same, but I pretty much have it set so that the yoke is right where the yoke is for my hands. And it's pretty close with the throttle quadrant. It's not perfect, but it's pretty close. In fact, if I made the mixture, the prop on the TPM, the throttle, it would be almost exactly where I'm looking. And we're running at 45 frames a second, pretty steady. And here we are. The only thing I don't like about the SteamVR is it puts this blue circle around you. Kind of ruins the immersion. And every once in a while I drop a frame, but you know, we're looking around and we're doing what we're doing. If I reach down and turn that, it works. And if I reach and use the flap handle, I can pick this up. Show the map, a little bit of a stutter there. Shows winds. Where we are, we're at Oceano. I can take that and put it back. And we can start the airplane. So I can reach down where my actual keys are if I wanted. If not, I would reach down with this. I can flip the switches, do what we need to do, as you can see. So even though I have a real-world set of panels in front of me, it's easy to use on its own. There's the trim wheel, which you just hold and trim. It's about where my trim wheel is in the actual cockpit, if I wanted to use it. But since I have things in front of me, I can actually flip the switches. But let's do it virtually. So first we'd put our foot on the brakes. And let's see, I want to turn on my master switches. And fuel pump to prime us for a minute. It's quite loud in my headset, and turn that down just a little bit there. In fact, let me adjust my audio settings here just a titch. There we go. That's a little bit better. Let's put on our strobe and our beacon light. Actually, we'll put strobes on after. And mixture full in and a 1/4 inch of prop. And then we will turn the key. Brakes, brakes. There we go. I just loaded the new Sim Shaker plugin for the butt kicker. First time I'm using it, it really fired to life. It's much more realistic. Fuel pump off. And let's go ahead and put our strobes on, our nav lights. and avionics. Switch 1, switch 2. Now I'm running at, I think, 1.5 supersampling right now, which makes things pretty visible, as you can see. But, you know, one of the deals with the resolution is it's a little harder to see things from afar. Turning these is easy. You just grab them and turn them. I don't know what the weather for Oceano is, but if we wanted to listen to it, we would turn it on and listen there, and then I can easily change my range indicators. And again, depending on the supersampling, I mean, I can see my freaks there, but if I lean forward just a little bit, it's a lot easier to see. As you can see, I don't know what that sound is. Something going on. I wonder if it's me or if it's the... Must be something in the sim. That might be something from Sim Shakers, I'm not sure. I'm going to use the real physical... Oh, there we go. It's something about when our RPM is too low. Must be the new Sim Shaker plugin. I'll figure that out. But we'll release the brakes. We'll start to taxi around here. And I don't know where the... I'm looking for where the wind sock is. Yeah, that little sound is clearly related to the prop. I can judge distance a lot better from that Beechcraft. Windsock. I think it's on the other side. So I'm just going to do a quick loop, and then I'll switch it tonight. I'm only recording for 20 minutes here in the recording software. Ah, there we go. Okay, I can see the windsock there. This is real world weather. Nobody coming. And I'm running not high definition range, I'm just running high visual effects without HDR, and I think I'm running like 4x anti-aliasing, although the higher your super sampling, I think the less of that you need. This is clearly wrong. That's closer to where we should be. We're just about 15 degrees west of 30, so let's fix that. That looks about right. A little more. Quick test on our, yep. Okay, that's good. Everything else looks about right. Nav, strobe, landing lights, so we're more visible. A little stutter there. We're on center tanks. If we wanted to open the door, we can. But we won't. These don't move as near as I can tell, but these do. If I wanted to turn on these lights, I can adjust them there. All right, let's go. Also cool being able to use the clock. Sorry, I got a little distracted. My butt kicker is really rumbling with this Sim Shaker plug-in. Airspeed's alive, engine instruments are good. Rotation. There we go. In fact, I'm going to turn my butt kicker down a little bit. There we go. Work our trim wheel a little bit. It's left traffic here, so that's what we'll make. I'm going to go up to about 1,000 feet, which is where we are. I'm not really flying a very careful pattern here. You can see the sun coming through the cabin. That is very cool. There's our airport. Take her down to about 2,200 RPMs. And you know, you're not seeing this in 3D, but that sense of space to where that airport is very realistic to me. Trim us out. So I want the airport to be about halfway up that strut. We're a little close. There we go, that's a little bit better. I believe it's right traffic for this runway. When we're at the numbers, we are now. Cut our throttle down to about 1,700. Give our first notch of flaps. And start to fly the airplane downhill. Trim to about 90. A little bit lower. And when the airport's about 45 degrees behind us, a little more throttle. Turn our base leg. Oh, a little stutter there, not too bad. There's our airport coming up. Next notch of flaps. Doesn't want to go down for me. I don't know why that is. I've got it. There we go. Visibility's not great. Fuel pump on. A little low here. A little more power. Trim us a little bit more. There we go. I like to land with only 2 notches of flap in the Cessna. I think with 3 it drops like a stone. Alright, here we come. Speed's about 65. I don't want to be any lower than that. This is where with the 3D, the VR feels so much more realistic. The airplane moves around quite a bit. We're coming in here over the beach. I like that. Roll out of the throttle. There we go. And I'm just gonna make the turn. No, let's see. Pretty close. All right. So now, let's do one at night. I'm gonna quickly change the time. So let's do that real quick. Okay, I have HDR lighting off. But, you know, you get the gist. Radio lighting. Panel lighting, let's turn that down. Cabin lighting will turn down. And then I can dim these. I haven't quite figured out how to do that yet. There you go. Okay, and let's put on our taxi lights also. Okay. And I'm going to turn this off because it's too bright. Now with HDR lighting on, it's even better, but I'd have to reload all the scenery. And I don't want to take the time to do that right now, so we'll just do a quick hop. Quick night pattern. Oh! Watch where you're going. That was funny. These are still too bright for me. Want those up. Want the panel lighting all the way down. There we go, that's better. Okay. It's a little harder to drive at night without HDR lighting because the illumination isn't quite as good. A little bit of a stutter there. There we go. And again, in 3 dimensions, this is amazing. Put our flaps up. Forgot to do that. I just did it with a trigger switch on the yoke. A thumb switch. There we are, 65. And we're flying. In the non-HDR, the stars are quite bright. Too bright, in fact. In HDR, they aren't as bad. There goes a train going by. Oops. Climb up at our best climb speed, which is quite a bit higher. And you can see some of that banding for the moon there. That also in HDR is not nearly as obvious. I'll probably do an HDR recording next just so you can see. We'll just do a quick pattern here. There's our moon. That doesn't look real at all with the non-HDR lighting for me because of the big bands, but I'm not sure how it looks in the not sure how it looks in the mirror window. We'll find out in a second. Okay, we're already high. We can cut our throttle. Might as well just go down to about 2,000 RPM. Our runway heading is 29. So that's 11 for us. Get our heading bug set. So in 3D, that runway down there and the black hole in which it sits feels very realistic to me. SimShaker plugin's doing a great job also, by the way. I can feel the different RPMs of the motor. You can definitely feel like it's a black hole out there. Okay, we're at the numbers. We're probably a little close. Let's cut the throttle and let's just go. Let's say that we're asked to do a fast approach, a short approach. So 1 notch flaps. We'll just almost dead stick this baby. you have to move the flap handle over before it comes down, just like real life. That's cool. Our airspeed here pretty good. Trim the airplane a little bit. Add some power. Luckily we don't have to try to get there all at once. 200 feet. There's our landing light illuminating the beach. I had to do one of these at Albert Whitted in Tampa for real life a couple weeks ago. My first short approach. It was fun. I didn't know if I could make it or not, but we did. Airspeed's pretty good. About 60 knots over the fence. Oh, a little float. Out of the throttle. There we go. So that's an example at night. I may try to reset the sim and do some HDR night lighting and show you in another video. But for now, that is some of what things are like right now in HDR in the sim, or in virtual reality. So I think it's awfully cool, and I have to tell you, since I got it, I really haven't built the cockpit. I had to do IFR training. Now that's going to be interesting, because right now clouds really hammer it. It may be that it's the only way to do IFR, is to really have a physical sim. So I haven't tried that, in fairness. But let's remember, I'm holding onto a real throttle handle right now. I'm holding onto a real yoke. I'm using real pedals, and I'm even using a real trim wheel. But I found that using the radios and such, like if I wanted to change to 118.5, 118.5, that's no problem. So, and in fact, if I wanted to use enter. Oops. Yeah, let's go Brandywine in Philadelphia. That's no problem either. So I'd encourage you to give it a look. You know, prices are coming down. The next generation of headsets are coming out, but I find it's pretty remarkable. This feels awfully lifelike to me. So I'm gonna see if I can find the time here quickly to reload the sim and put on some HDR lighting for a quick another night flight. If I don't, then thanks for watching on the glide slope, and check in the next time you can. There's my car here to pick me up. Avionics. Oops. Now see, every once in a while with the sim access says something, that's what you see. Fuel pump off. Mixture all the way out. And I'm not quite sure why. But here we are, in the dark. Pretty cool, huh? Okay, I turned on HDR and high dynamic range, and you can see how different the tarmac is. The moon is much more realistic. And in particular, a lot more light floods the cabin, like this is light coming in from that car. And this is when it really shines in VR for me. It starts to get very, very realistic. Let's turn on our strobe. Like that, strobe flashing. Turn on our nav lights and taxi lights. Landing lights. Turn off our landing lights and just use our taxi lights. So with the HDR, I think night flying in this thing is unbelievable. And it's hard to describe in 3D how it really looks. The lights, stars aren't as bright as you can see. And I'm still holding great at 45 frames. My experience is that if I'm going to get worse performance, it's in HDR, but I don't know. It's so rare that it has a tough hold, or it kind of blows up a scene and makes me wait for 4 or 5 seconds, that I really just sort of, I don't care. So I sort of go daytime non-HDR, nighttime HDR. We'll do a quick lap here. Let's go landing lights on, taxi light off. And we'll do a quick lap. Taking off here. If I look up and I see like that there, that's processing, and it'll do that sometimes in HDR, and I'm not quite sure why, but so it goes. You can see how much more realistic the night lighting of the city scene is. And there's a lot of ambient lighting out there because we have the moon. Now it shows 2 suns in HDR right now during the daytime, and it looks like it's showing the reflection of 2 moons also. So we might have 2 moons. I'm sure they'll take care of that in the next release or something soon. Alright. About 700 feet. Make our right hand turn. There's 1 moon. Well, I only see 1 moon, but I saw 2 reflections on the window, which is interesting. And there we are on our crosswind leg. Coming up to our pattern altitude. Never turned the fuel pump on. If you turn on world traffic, like that judder there, I don't get a lot of those with HDR off. If you turn on world traffic, you see quite a bit of airplanes flying around at night, and I find that world traffic doesn't hurt my frames very much. Throttle back. Yeah, see, you can see those. The occasional jag. But it also seems to do with how fast I move my head. Got a lot of moonlight tonight. We're in a pretty good place here on our downwind leg. Start a timer if I want. A little high, but I'm not really paying attention. And at the numbers, throttle ourselves back. About 1700. We're already at 1 notch flaps. Trim for 90, that's about where we are. Feels like we're flying into a black hole. I actually right now feel a little bit of spatial disorientation from that, which is very realistic. A little scary. Hard to believe, but with the 3 it'll do that. Landing light is on. Fuel pump. Okay, airport's 45 degrees behind us. Let's make our turn. A little low now. Base leg, next notch. Yep, we're a little low, so we're just going to keep it here. Like the ability to do this, to look and see out that edge. 70 knots, don't want to get any slower. It's just priceless. I can also feel right here, or see the wind is moving me a little bit. And then when we land, you'll notice the light sort of flooding the cabin as we go past the tarmac lights. when I landed from the other direction here at Oceano the other night, it was pretty interesting. The buildings as I passed over them lit up the cockpit. Trim us a little bit. Now we've got plenty of altitude and we're in good shape. And when you add pilot edge to it and you've got people flying around and you're actually having a conversation with air traffic control, this is a pretty awesome experience. There's our landing light starting to illuminate the beach. Car going by the front of the runway. Like, this in 3D is priceless. Like, I just can't explain it. Now the lights will start to fill the cabin from the surrounding lights. I'm not paying attention here very well, but we'll get down. Here we go. Flaps up. It's like a short field landing. Whoa! Easy, don't flip it over, don't flip it over! Oh, that was close. Okay, let's go tarmac and see the light that comes on. Taxi light on, the landing light off. Strobes off. We're driving fast here. Do not do this at home. That's a little bright. I think I'll just move that over there and turn it upside down. Whoa! Look out for those guys. The moon's starting to set. That moon is unrealistically large to me, but that's okay. Now notice how the light fills the cabin when I go past this car. And now how there's just greater ambient. So in HDR, the virtual reality is really awesome. Because of the way the light moves around. Like, look how the light is moving around on the back of that iPad. You know? I mean, it's really pretty impressive. We'll go down here like we're going to get some fuel. Thought that this said something on it. I can't quite see. But the X-Pad on its back says, I can't see it. My glasses won't let me read that. So there you go. Not exactly doing things in order here by checklist, but so it goes. So it's really quite easy to do these things, and in HDR it looks really, really great. I mean, look at the reflections. On the wheel pant there. And it's really easy to manipulate the controls. I mean, using this thing is very natural. Doesn't feel unnatural to me at all. I don't really see the need for having physical controls for radios and stuff, although I'm sure I could if I wanted to. And then, of course, you can teleport. So if we wanted to go out to the passenger seat, now we're in the passenger seat, and if I wanted to go out there and look at the airplane, there we are. Isn't that cool? Go down here and check out this Beechcraft. And it's all to scale. Now I'm still sitting down, but if I were to stand up, we'd get taller, obviously. Look back the other way. There's our airplane. So if you wanted to do your walk around, you could do your walk around. So let's go check out the cowl. There's our cowl. I'm sure that somebody will eventually make simulation software you can actually do your checks. Like it's pretty sweet. Now I'm sitting, so we're still low, right? I can't stand up because I'm actually in the actual sim cabin, and I'll smash my head through the ceiling. But this stuff, and to have it be all proportionally spaced, like when you're standing next to a 747, it's pretty impressive. That was interesting. It was like, oh yeah, oh, those are different places where I can teleport myself. So if I wanted to be in the back seat, look at that. I didn't even know I could do this. Now we're in the back seat. Anything back there? Nope. That is cool. That is really cool. And that lighting would work as well. I can be in this seat, I can go to the front seat, and then I can go back out and check out the fuel station if I want to. And maybe we want to go check out the parking lot. Look at that. And there's a nice detail. Who knew? So it's pretty cool. Go out and look in somebody's window. That's creepy. All right, let's go back to the airport. Back by our bird. So anyway, that's a quick flight around, and both before HDR and after. Thanks for watching on the glide slope. I'm going to continue making videos in the real cabin. I've had people say, man, I missed your normal videos. I'm sure I'll be making some, so don't worry. But this is a pretty cool thing, and I have to say it influences how I think about the entire experience. And I find that the training is pretty remarkable. So, I don't know. It's a new day, I think. And I think it's a good thing. I think the more simulation choices we have, the better. And besides, you know, building a cabin costs a lot of money, takes a lot of time. It's a great hobby, great thing to do with your kids. I'm glad I did it. But this is only going to get better. So that's today's report. Thanks for watching on the glide slope, and we will see you on the next flight. If you have questions about the simulator, www.ontheglideslope.net is the place to go. I'm posting more and more information about what I'm learning about virtual reality as I'm doing that. So if you wanted to have more about settings and those kinds of things, this is that's a place where you can learn about it. And in the meantime, it's a beautiful evening here at Oceano Airport in California. Thanks for watching on the glide slope.